here we go with the end of Book 1 of the Golden Ass, the Metamorphoses. Chapter 25, Quo audito. Quo is the demonstrative pronoun. This is just an ablative absolute. So with this thing having been heard, because this is his friend he ran into who he was talking to about fish. Statim, immediately, ad repta dextera, having grabbed the right hand. This is another little ablative absolute, and it's female because the hand is female. Post liminio, this is a neuter noun, meaning the right to return home. Me in forum cupidinis reducens. Reducens, the verb in a present participle. So having heard this immediately, he's grabbed my hand as I was going home, and he re-led me into the forum. Cupidinus is a genitive, so he's of the desire to for a purpose. Et a quo inquit, and from who, he said, istorum, that's the genitive of isti, nugamenta, that's the rubbish again. So from which istorum of these, comparasti, that's the you in the perfect, did you procure this nugamenta, this rubbish? Demonstro, which is first person. So I demonstrated a little old man, a seneculum, diminutive, in angulo, in the corner, imperfect, sedabat, he was sitting. So I pointed out an old man who was sitting in the corner. Quem confestim pro aedilatus, imperio voce is the ablative, as sperma increpans. Increpans our present participle nominative, aspermas you have, what is it called, the positive, and then you have a comparative, and then you have a superlative, and that's the superlative. So whom immediately, this is his friend again, pro aedile up as an aedile, and he's in his capacity as an adile, with an imperio voice, with his ordering voice, he rebuked him, is what increpens mean, most harshly, and confessed him means immediately. Continuing on, yam, which means right now, it's just now and now, or already. So right now, inquit, he said. Nec quidem. Remember, whenever nec quidem goes together, it means not even. So not even, a marcis nostris, for talking ablative plurals here. Vel as an adverb means for instance or even, and when it's a preposition it means or, but here it's an adverb. Omnino, altogether. Ulus hospitibus parcitus. Parcitus means you're sparing, and it's talking to him, that's why it's got the S at the end. So right now he says, not even our friends or anyone altogether, hospitibus, who's a guest here, or is someone who's visiting the market, do you spare? Parco's taking this, could be dative or ablative because they look the same. Quad can mean a neuter relative or because, or a quad clause. We'll take it as because. So magnus Apuleius, because of tam means so great a price. Piscis frivolus, these frivolous fish, you might want to make it literally. Indicatus, you've indicated such a great price for these frivolous fish. En florem Thessalicae regiones, in the flower of the region of Thessaly, this is a double genitive. Ad instar is a word which does not decline, it's indeclinable, it means just as. And so, to just as in a solitudinous, which is a wasteland, and a scropuli edulium, caritate ductus. Scopuli is like a cliff, a rocky cliff. So, you're making this region, a flourishing region, just as if it's a wasteland and a rocky cliff, deducus, with the dearness, the caritate, of these edible things, which are fish. Sed non impune, we'll take that as an adverb, but this will not be done impudently, or with impunity. Yam enim, for now, faxo scias, these goes together, because faxo, usually it's an old Latin word, and it's one of the words that doesn't take an ut. So you just say, I shall make it that scias, that you shall know, whom ad modum, just to the limits we'll say, sub meo magisterio, under my magistrates, debiant coerci. So this is the Mali, this is the troublemakers, how they ought to be checked. So right now I'll make it so that you know to the limits under my magistrates of how I shall be checking such rogues or such evildoers. Et profusa, which it's an adjective for profusus, etc., can mean expensive. In medium, so in the middle of the street, you bet he ordered the sportula. This is like a trophy, basically. So he ordered his officialium suum. He ordered his official, or one of his workers that works for him. So having dumped these in the middle of the street, he ordered his official in scendere to climb up on. In super is the adverb for above. Pisk is his fish. So he's dumped out this in the middle of the street. Sportula is probably his basket, actually. And he's ordered his official, his workman, to climb up on top of these fishes and pedibus suis, and with his feet, totus, all of them, which is probably all of the fish, obturare, which means to crush them down under your feet. Qua contentus. It's a present participle of the main character. So he was content with the severitudine of morum, the severity of his customs or his habits. Qua is just another relative. So he's content because of this diminutive. The sportula was a little basket, which is profusa, which probably really means it's expensive, but it means it's all been dumped in the street and crushed. So he's content with this severity of his character. Meus Pythius, again this is nominative, so it's my friend Pythius, and to me ut abirem Swedens. So this is our present participle. So then he persuaded me, dative, that I should go away. So he was content with himself and his severity, and he persuaded me to go home. Sufficit mihi, O Lucy. O's are common interjective, and Lucy is the vocative. So it's sufficient for me, O Lucius, or my Lucius, inquity said. We have no verb here. Seneculai is the old man. Tanta haec contumelias. So we'll just take the sufficient as the verb. It was sufficient for me to use such insults, contumelia, as these, haec, to the old man or for the old man. Here's actus. We've got a demonstrative pronoun, and actus is a plural ablatives. So with this done, this completed, consternatus, it's a past passive, and process and absolutely obstupefied. So consternatus, concerned, and obstupefied. So he basically is speechless, actually. Ad balneas me refero. So this is a reflexive, taking the me. So this is Lucius himself, is consternatus and obstupefied. And so he referred himself to the baths. Remember, this was a ablative absolute. Prudentis condiscipuli. So by the wisdom of his fellow student, this is looking genitive. Valido concilio, by his strong plan or what he'd thought up. And numus simul provatus. So again, we're taking a past passive here. So he's deprived of his money and at the same time and canna and food. And clitic lautus. So and he was washed. This is another past passive. So we've got consternatus, obstupefied, provatus, and lautus qui. These are all the same past passives. To the guest house of Milo, and in turn, me cubiculium, my bedroom, reporto. Reporto is taking me again in a reflexive, the same as refero me, took myself, and reporto me. So I carried myself off to the bedroom. 26. And look, Fotis and Cilia, the maidservant Fotis. Inquit, she says, Rogat te hospes, so your host is asking for you, she said. At ego, but I, yam indi, now then, well, what's going on? Cognitor. Now that I know of the abstinteniae of Milo, we'll take them as a double genitive. So he knows how stingy Milo was. Excusavi, that's a past perfect. So I made an excuse, comata, in an adverbial way, in a friendly way. I made an excuse. Quad, we'll take it as because for now. Because of the road vexation, because of the vexations of the road, non kibo, not food, but somno. This is dative or ablative, kibo and somno. Sensoram. But because of the vexation of the road, I decided diluendam. This is a participle. It looks gerundive, is it? So I could wash away my vexation of the road, not with food, but with sleep. Isto accepto. We're starting off with the blatant absolute. Isto is him. When he's accepted these words, and when he's heard them, he purgated, he continued, ipsi himself, and injected dextera, female again, and having put his hand into my hand, clemently, grabbing hold of my hand, me trahire. He dragged me, and the reason this is infinitive, because we have adoritor. So he began to drag me. And we'll make a daily dictionary word of diluendam. What have we got here? Which is to be washed away. There's a couple of different online dictionaries. Okay. Ac dum cunctor, dum moleste renitor. So while I was delaying, and while renitor, I was struggling back, in vexation of molestes, troubled a little bit, he inquited, he said something, non prius discidem. So not prior, he said, shall I leave, then me sequaris, then you followed me. So I'm not going to leave until you follow me. Et dictum, and this was said, jure jurando secutus. And followed basically that I had to swear an oath, or actually he was saying swearing an oath. Yam now obstinatoni. So he was so obstinate that me, ingratus, unwillingly, obedientem, that's the accusative of the present participle. So he led me unwillingly, and I obeyed him. Ad illum suum grabatulum. This is to his own little cot, and residenti. We've got a present participle going with this one, which are dative singular. And so then he sat down. Quam salve aget, inquit, he said, de meas nostris. How is going? Quam's how, aget, how goes, nostradamus salve. How goes our Demeus? Salve is usually a greeting. For some reason it's in the ablative here, and so it's meaning his health. We come from salvus. So how's our Demeus going? Quid uxor, quid liberi. Quid can mean how or why, but it's probably meaning how is his wife, and how is libere, how is his children going. Quid vernaculi, that's genitive. So what of his vernacular? What of his servants? Narrow singular. So I narrated singular, each single one. You could have singulatum if you wanted to go person by person. Per contator. So he asked, we know it's asked because it ends with the ter. Accuratius. So now we've got a comparative. This is, if you take the AC off that, you can see that it comes from we could say more accurately, but more carefully. He asked more carefully about the causes, the reasons, even etiam, double genitive, of my peregrination, of my journey. So he asked carefully about the reasons for my journey. Quas ubi, which things when, proturely, I brought them forth probi uprightly. So when I discuss these things correctly or uprightly, yam, and now et also de patria nostra, concerning my homeland, and eus, its primordibus, which is in the leaders of it, and that's in ablative, and deniqui, finally, de ipso, D takes ablative, so that's why you got patria nostris and primordibus and de ipso, and even himself who presides. So he's asking about his homeland and its leaders and the person himself who's presiding. Most scrupulously explorans, he's exploring this in a present nominative participle. When me, post iteris, after a journey, tam savi, so savage, sense it. So he'd sense that after such a journey, vexated from the such savagery of this journey. Fabularum, which is of stories, quoque also, here we go, series. And this series also of stories, fatigum. This is going with the me, so it's accusative. And I was tired. In verba media, in the middle of words, semnolentum, he was dropping off asleep, desinere. So I would basically desist, or I would stop in the middle of words from sleep, and in nequicam, and in vain. Basically, I was just talking empty words. Defectum, yeah, and I was already very defected, very tired. Uncertain of words, balbutere. This is like just rattling on with noises. Salibras in a rut. So I was uncertain of words and just blabbering on in a rut. Tandem. At last, patitur, he allowed considerem cubitum. He conceded that I could go off to the cubitum, off to bed. And to wrap up the end of book 1, evasi. So sometimes, after I'd evaded, after some time, loquax is loquacious, the talking of this rancid old man, or basically nauseating speech of the old man, and famelicum convivium somno non cibo gravatus. Here's a past passive. So I was heavy with sleep, not with food, having feasted in his company at this party. Familicum's fasting and convivium's the party. Canatus, having dined, that's another supine past passive. Solus, alone in fabulous and stories, having dined only on stories. And in cubiculum reversus, another past passive. So he's dined, he's reversed into his own cubiculum, optate, which he had chosen, redidi me quiete. I gave myself over to rest, quiete.